So the next presentation is Paul Reeves. This is News and Views O-Scale, where Dennis Brennan normally handles the segment, but Paul is kind enough to present a scratch build of his own, building with coffee sticks. So Paul, welcome to the show and appreciate you being on this evening.
Thank you very much. I appreciate Dennis allowing me to sit in for him while he's in Florida this week. I have not had that much experience with scratch building until the last 5 or 6 years. I bought a kit company and we do O-Scale kits at Kershaw Craftsman Kits. But anyway, I moved my layout, which I loved, had to come down. And about 2 years ago, I was bored, needed something to do. So I came across these packages of coffee stirrers. You've seen them. And I thought, there ought to be something I could do with this. So I started this project. I wanted to build a sawmill, mainly I had a lead on some 3D printed sawmill machinery that I thought was economical compared to what was on sale at the time. And so this is all non-scale lumber, if you will. I went to the local hobby store and just bought what looked like to me would be the right kind of wood. But what really made this project doable was I found a Midwest Products 1134 cutter. And with the angle guards on it, you could cut pieces, the same pieces over and over again. And it just made it really easy. And I really kind of designed the sawmill as I went along. So that's the cutter on the screen right there. This came from Midwest Products, super good piece of equipment to have. I also noticed in the last couple of years that the big box stores have been carrying some of these too, but this thing is bulletproof and the company's great to deal with. I don't have any share of Midwest Products. All right, this is what came to be. The mill is about 30 inches long, and I based it on the design of the McLean lumber or sawmill in Canada. I found some photographs of that. By the way, it's very, it's not exactly specific, but if you see on the photograph to the far left, those are the coffee stirrers that I glued using white glue to an underlayment, and those were spaced about every scale, 24 inches. And you can see on the right there where my that first picture, you can see some of the boards that have the foundation for the floor. The middle picture shows where the logs would come into the mill. There's the log carriage there is on the right. The logs would be rolled down and then attached to the carriage, and you can see the saw toward the center of the photograph. The 3D printed pieces allowed for a dead roll system and a live roll system and a cutoff saw. The thing though that I thought, as you can see, the coffee stirrers, I stained those after I had secured those to the underlayment because I didn't really think it was stupid. I didn't really think about it. But I used Hunter line stains, and sometimes I would use the stain out of the bottle. Oftentimes I would mix 2 or 3 together. There was no rhyme or reason. I left some gaps, and also some gaps formed because the wood actually sort of contracted a little bit. So, but I wanted to have space for these rolls because they look so realistic. What also made this kind of cool was Crow River has a drive shaft components involving hangers, couplings, pillow blocks, and I incorporated those. Again, I don't know if this is the way it looked or not. I had nothing to go by. I just kind of, developed what I thought was realistic looking. Crow River Products, these pulleys and sheaves are shown here. This photograph would show the area where you would put the steam, the boiler for the steam, and where that would start the power process. I don't have that built yet. Crow has a really nice steam drive set, including a brick encased boiler. looks really nice. I have not done one, but I've seen some that have been modeled and they're really good. But this, the pulley here would be the main drive, and you can see the pillow blocks and the couplings to your right. And they went throughout the structure to pretend that there was a drive system. You're looking at the left side of the mill. The live rolls and dead rolls are on the opposite side. And as you get down, you can see some of the roof. I left that open just for display. Again, I just used stirs. When I needed longer pieces, I just used, I don't know who the manufacturer was. I got it at the hobby store. They were all loose pieces. And as you can see here, I also went back and put in some more secure piece, a secure framework, because I really wanted the mill to look like it kind of evolved. I wanted to look like that they didn't really give a rip about how it looked. They just needed for it to function. And so that was sort of the idea behind this. This photograph shows the log carriage. Also, that column right there in front of you, I put some white paint, very, very thin white paint along some of the columns to weather them, and that turned out pretty well. Basically, the columns along the right side of the picture are glued in between two pieces of strip wood that run the width of the floor. On the other side is the same configuration, and you can make as many of those as you want to. I just kept laying those out and putting in the coffee stirs, and you can get as much length or as least amount as you want to. I think I'd also point out here, and this is maybe not the best picture to show it, but I really found that my son is a war gamer and is in Warhammer and does all these really intricate figures that he paints, and he uses Citadel paints. Those paints applied or I guess stuck to the 3D printed models as best as anything I'd ever had. They have a lot of weird names. You won't find a umber, you won't have some kind of flesh color, but if you can find the right color, they really go on well. A little bit expensive, but for this project, it allowed me to do a lot with the 3D without having to go back and paint it again. One coat was enough, and then I weathered it using some stains and some powders. But the Citadel paints were really a huge help this. The picture on your left here, again, shows the log carriage. There's a double blade saw. To the left of the saw, you can see a drive and a pulley and a belt. The belt is made from vellum paper, just cut it in strips. I super glued one end of the strip to the pulley, wrapped it around the other, came back, and then put a dab of super glue on that. And you can see in the middle picture, it came out pretty well. If you look close, you might see the gap or the overlay, but you have to kind of look close. The saws, I mean, it's very detailed 3D printed product. Again, you can see some of the rustic wood around that, and the drive shaft is at the top of the center picture. On the far right side is the winch that pulls the logs in from the outside. That winch, there's no drive belt there, it's missing. I have no idea what happened to the drive belt. That was a real piece of work to get the drive belt to work there, because you had to, I don't plan well, so I had to go back and put the belts in later. That winch, again, according to the McLean sawmill history, came off a steamship, and apparently was a pretty powerful winch. There's an operator stand right beside it, right behind it, that you can't see very well. But again, the coffee stirs, because they're not perfect, left, in my opinion, very prototypical gaps. Again, it was my intent to show that this was a business. They wanted to make money, and the way the floor looked wasn't the most important thing to the owner. There are nail holes in this. I think you can see, and maybe I used a pounce wheel to go across those. Again, before I stained them, but after I put them in, sometimes the nails got a little crooked, and it looks like somebody who was intoxicated had put those nails in. So the center picture, once the logs prototypically went through the blade, the live rolls were right behind or down the assembly way. You can see those in the left picture. On the very left side of the left picture, you can see the dead rolls, and you can see the other rolls down below that. Again, the wood, the strips and the columns are all just wood from the hobby store. One thing that made this easy to do is you can see on the left-hand side, there's three columns, and you can see that this is the bed for the logs that come in. But being able to sandwich those pieces in between the two pieces of strip wood really made for a sturdy structure. But also you can see, you can make as many of those as you want to. Then you would have the columns that would be in between that. And again, you can make as big a meal as you want it to make. These photographs show some of how the wood looks weathered. You can see the nail holes in the center picture. And also you can see the side. I had no walls for the outside. I looked at the photographs. Some sawmills had some walls, but most appeared to be mostly open. And that's what I tried to do here. You can see there's some extra lumber in the left picture. Again, when I found I had to secure something that didn't fit right, I just added more lumber. Again, hoping to make just a configuration that they built this thing as they went along. I like the way the center picture turned out with the gaps in the floor. I'm pretty sure OSHA wouldn't approve of that today, but they were there. The picture on the far right, excuse me, shows the dead rolls, and the live rolls are further down on the further side. Vellum, the drive belt goes to the cutoff saw. It's in the very top middle of the photograph on the far right side. And the 3D components actually, when you push them together, it looks like the drive shaft connects all of those going all the way down. Very realistic looking.
Hey, Paul.
Yeah.
Last minute or two here. Let's see if our viewers have any questions for you.
Absolutely, sure.
Hey, Paul, this is Bob Gelmacher. Where did you find the 3D prints for the sawmill?
When Shapeways was in business, I found a 187 HO scale. I contacted the owner of the pieces, and he upscaled it. And his name is Dan Von Aker. Shapeways went out of business, as you know, but this was the entire O scale machinery was less than $200. I got enough for the whole mill. And the pieces were very well done. There was not having a whole lot of work to do. All I did was wash them and paint them.
You know how to spell Dan's last name?
It's Vankker. He and I talked. I'm trying to get him. We're trying to work out a deal. Well, I'm going to ask him if he will allow me to, sell those through my website, because they really are very well done. Okay. We just haven't made that agreement yet. But he's a super nice guy. And he gave me the ultimate compliment. He said he showed a photograph of this to his wife, and she thought it was one of the ones he had actually taken to the real McLean mill. So that was a really nice compliment.
Well, thank you, Paul. That's an excellent model and really stunning.